Hey, welcome everybody and happy, let's see, what day is it? May 16th. We're in the middle of May already. Summer is quickly approaching. And for our Ask the Experts today, we have Leanne, as always, and me, Laura. So if you haven't met us yet, I am in Evergreen, Colorado, and I'm a real estate agent here. And Leanne resides. You can say about yourself.
Yeah, I'm a mortgage lender in, I service actually all of Colorado. So the mountains front all the way to the Front Range.
Awesome. And you also do Arizona, right?
I do Arizona as well. And soon Texas.
Oh, yay. Cool. We're expanding. It's awesome. And while I reside in Colorado or in Evergreen, I also service pretty much the Front Range and like to go where my clients like to take me. But Evergreen is especially warm in my heart. So if you're curious about it, let me know. So today we are going to talk about, for me, the role of a real estate agent and a lender in the home buying process. And then Leanne's going to get into like what it is to develop a strategy that fits a buyer's financial future. Anything you want to say about that off the top, Leanne?
I'll just be going over what does a strategy actually look like and how it can differ from client to client, person to person.
Cool. Awesome. And then we'll have a couple questions from the audience at the end, I'm sure too. So we'll get into those. But the reason I wanted to go over the roles of you and I is because what I find a lot of times in working with buyers, especially first-time buyers, but even seasoned buyers, is there's often a disconnect between their lender and their realtor partners. And either they've got a lender partner and they're just continuing to float and shop their realtor partners, or they've got a realtor partner and they're continuing to shop and float their lender partners. And in my experience, it just works so much more flawlessly if you can get a relationship and build a relationship with both way in advance of when you think that you're going to be buying a home, because our role is to help you have the best outcome that you want for purchasing your home, whether you have to sell something first and then buy, or you're just simply buying primary home, investment, anything. It really helps to have that partnership. And so I've identified 5 aspects for each of us of like what our real role in helping buyers and sellers is. So for me, as a realtor and a real estate agent, I mean, number one, my role is to help all clients navigate the market and really find properties that meet your needs and your budget. Now, that's pretty surface level, right? Because that's what we do, is we help you find the house. But it goes even further than that, because for me, I like to really get connected to what is it that you're interested in? What is it that you want? What kind of lifestyle do you want? It's not always just about the home. But for me, I always say like that your home is your foundation of what's going to create like the energy of your life. And so the location, the style, the budget, everything really, really goes into that. And so I like to be very thoughtful and sensitive to that when I'm looking for buyers and sellers. But even more so, you're going to get into negotiations. And so that's my role, is being able to negotiate offers, counter offers, contracts, you name it, inspections, all of that on behalf of you, because I am your fiduciary, which means I have your financial interests at the highest regard and will always have your financial interests at my best. So that's number 2. Then number 3 is just facilitating communication between buyers and sellers, as well as other professionals involved in the transaction. The reason why that's so important, and Leanne can probably attest to this, but it's an emotional process. Whether you think it is or not, buying and selling a home is really emotional. And there's a lot of people out there who say like, oh, I'm going to sell myself, or I'm just going to go on my own. And sure, maybe you can do that. And I'm not here to say you can't, but having an objective third party on the outside that gets to know you, but isn't emotionally attached and can still see the bigger picture on your behalf is so useful, because there's times where without, even with our best intentions, things can get a little tumultuous. And what better way than to have a trusted advisor and friend on your side to guide you through? I mean, you've probably seen that, Leanne, haven't you?
Oh yeah, 100%, 100%. It's very emotional.
Yeah. And I think people forget that, so part of
And
our
even,
role.
yeah,
Good.
and I mean, even in an investor side, I work with investors and who buy numerous homes or apartment complexes. And even it becomes emotional even with them because we have to make sure that the strategy fits for
Exactly.
their future and in their
Exactly.
investment portfolio.
Exactly. And that's where it's like so many people, I think, forget that it can be emotional. And yes, it's business and yes, it's transactional, but there's a bigger picture that goes into every real estate decision. So those are the three. So we'll move on to 4, which is just providing guidance on the home inspection and appraisal process. So I'm here to be your partner and an expert to you in that these are the steps we have to go through. These are the things to look out for. I'm never going to make a decision for you, but I am going to give you all of the information for you to be able to make the most informed decision that you can make that works for you. And the 5th is just helping you with the closing process, reviewing paperwork, coordinating with the title company. And none of these really go in that kind of sequential 1 through 5 order, but these are all the little facets and details of what I'm doing. So it's everything from the negotiating to the emotional side to the creation side of creating your life and what is it going to look like and what is that next step, to the paperwork, to everything. Now, what I've created for you, Leanne, as a lender, and you can chime in however you'd like, but the top 5 roles of a lender in the home buying and selling process is obviously for a buyer, you need to get pre-approved for your mortgage or your loan. Ideally, when would they do that? Ideally, Leanne?
Oh, it depends on the strategy. So it could be a month before, a year before, 3 months before. So it really depends on, I always tell people, as soon as you start thinking about purchasing a home or you want to purchase another investment property, just reach out because we
Yeah.
can come up with a plan.
Yeah, I think that's a great tip of just, if your mind is going there, it's
Mhm.
probably an appropriate time to start talking to the professionals, because we're not here to push you into anything, but we are here to give you all the information that you need to make that informed decision. So why not do that sooner than later? Because you might have it in your head that I have to wait this long, or I want to wait, whatever it be.
Mhm.
And through talking it out, we can find an even better solution for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Um, so lender's role is also explaining the various loan options and helping borrowers choose the right loan for their financial situation, collecting and verifying all necessary documents for the loan application, supporting you through underwriting and the loan to determine the borrower's credit worthiness, and then closing on the loan, which is a really important one because I know lenders are working all the way up to the wire to get those loans closed so that we can all have our closing days and keys passing over and everything else. So would you like to add anything to your role that you see for people to know?
I think, I mean, for me, a lot of it is connecting on that emotional part as well.
Mhm.
Because it's very scary for people to all of a sudden take on a 400, 500, $600,000 mortgage. And um, we want to show them that it is an asset and work with them on that scariness. So for me, it's a lot of the emotional part too, and connecting with people. So I understand what they're comfortable with.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And so I'm sure you can see through this list, it's tangible, it's intangible, it's everything, but really what it is having trusted advisors by your side that that you can call whenever a question pops up, so that you don't ever feel like you're lost in the process, no matter where you're at in your journey. Just have some conversations with some professionals and get to know them and find one that's going to work for you, because we're always here for you. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to Leanne.
Yeah, so I will just take off by saying it's my job to develop a strategy. And I keep saying strategy, and what does that mean? So we look at everything. I'm going to look at your debt. I'm going to look at your assets, your credit, everything. Everyone always laughs because they're like, do you need my blood too? But we also talk about your future goals. How long do you want to stay in this house? Do you want to live in Colorado or Arizona forever? What payment are you comfortable with? And a lot of times we'll do a budget. So we'll do a budget with their current expenses, current rent, and really see how much they can afford. Because even when we look at our debt to income, the regular assets versus your liabilities, we don't take into account a lot of the times that things that people like to do. Do you like to travel? If you like to travel, how much are you wanting to budget for a year? So we're taking everything that you like to do, and we're coming up with a strategy that fits your financial future. And same with investing. If you're purchasing a house, this is your first house, but in 2 years you see yourself purchasing another house, well, look, okay, how much income are you going to need? How much do you need to rent this current house for? So every single person is different, but I am with them. I always joke with people that I'm with you for your full 30 years because I'm always, if there's opportunity to refinance, I let people know. We look at annual reviews. But it's really coming up with a plan on how to view this mortgage, not necessarily as scary, but as an asset and something that you can make money on in the future.
For sure. For sure. Yeah. And I love what you said about, we can poke and make fun and say, yeah, I'm here for the 30 years. But speaking of roles, it's not just for the short, minute time that you're looking for a house or selling a house. We really like to develop and maintain those relationships for a lifetime if we can, because questions are always going to pop up. Emergencies are always going to pop up. Life starts to happen. You might need a HELOC. You might need to refinance. You might need, some contractors to come in and do some work, or you might have questions about, what can I do with all this equity in my home, different things. And so that way you don't have to reinvent the wheel every single time. You can go to that trusted source and we can talk through it with you and come up with a strategy both on the emotional and real estate side and the lending side to really create the optimal plan and optimal outcome for you.
Yeah. And a lot of people that initially call me just want to know about the different loan programs. How much do I need for down payment? What are the interest rates? Those are all the common questions. And those questions are all dependent on them. What does their credit look like? How much do they need down payment assistance? How much do you have saved? So I look at everything, and then we come up with a plan on the best loan program. I'm not just saying, okay, you should go FHA or you should go conventional. I give options, and then they can look at those options, and then we can choose from there what best fits their future.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's just something you can't do on, the web tools and things like that, where you just plug in a few numbers and they spit out an equation. So really advise you guys, if you're thinking about it all, that's the rule of thumb today. If it's crossed your mind about the possibility of buying, whether you think it's a month from now or 2 years from now, just give one of us a call. We'll be happy to talk through it with you and come up with a plan that is best for you.
Yeah, absolutely. No time frame.
Yeah, exactly. So I did just have one question come through on our roles, and it's, just basic of how do I find the right realtor for me? And I think we could transfer that question as a lender too, because like you said, it's the typical questions, right? As a realtor, the typical questions we get is, well, how many houses do you have? And how many do you know about? And, they think there's some sort of, my perception is they think there's some sort of secret society behind the curtain or something, but really I treat it as a relationship. So find somebody who you can get along with, you feel like you can trust, and you feel like has a wealth of information, but even if they don't have the answer to every question, has the resources and the know-how to get you the answers to your questions. Because I can tell you the times I know where relationships have not worked between buyers and sellers and realtors is when there just wasn't a mesh personality wise, and they just couldn't get to the closing table because they kept bumping up into too many barriers. And so oftentimes, especially on the selling side, people want to shop and they just want the best deal. You can go for the best deal if you want, but that's not always going to result you in the best outcome. So this is one of those situations from my perspective where you have to put the finance on the back burner a little bit, especially as a seller, and really lean into your gut to say, is this somebody I can trust? And, you know, do I feel a rapport with them to be able to really have my best interest at heart?
Mm-hmm.
So, and what about you? What would you say for a lender?
To answer, I mean, I actually get that question a lot, just mostly about shopping. It is okay to shop for a mortgage lender. We can do a soft credit pull, so it's not a ding on your credit report. But what I tell people first and foremost, if you do decide to shop, shop someone first, make sure they're giving you what your monthly payment's going to be, just estimated on what you think your credit is. Don't have them pull everything first. Make sure that they're going to give you down payment options and that they're going to come up with a strategy. Because if you find someone that just says, okay, today my rate is 6.25%, and then that's it, that person is not really being truthful with you, because 6.25% is that with points, without points. So I always tell people, have a good conversation. If someone doesn't give you a conversation, they only talk about rates, a majority of the time when you go to purchase, you're not going to have good communication with them, and the rate definitely won't be the same as they quoted you in the first place. So just make sure it's a good fit and they're providing you with the information that makes you feel comfortable purchasing a home.
Yeah, for sure. And you brought up another good point that I'll speak to, which is communication styles, because they can vary vastly across the industry, both with lenders and realtors and real estate agents. So if you have a specific communication style as a buyer or seller, it's okay to let us know. And I even tend to ask my clients, what's the best way that works for you? Is it text, email, phone calls? What are your time parameters? Because I like to honor that as much as I can, unless there's emergencies or, you know, various circumstances. And I like people to honor that for me too. So if communication isn't meshing, then that can be a barrier as well. So just one other thing to look for.
Yeah. And my question was about shopping, and then I had one about interest rates.
Okay.
And they just wanted to know today's interest rates.
All right. Well, what are they, Leanne?
I'll answer that question with, it depends on what loan and what credit that you have, and how much you're bringing down. So just because you see a interest rate on TV, you know, today 7% doesn't mean that that's what you're going to get. You could have a better interest rate or a worse interest rate depending on the loan program that you choose. So it's kind of one of those things, don't always believe what you see on TV.
Yeah, and I've got another question here coming in. What do you tell people who are in the bucket of like, oh, I'm waiting for the interest rates to come down? Do we see interest rates coming down? Like, what's the latest? I know May was a big factor. Do we have any insight yet?
I mean, the Feds said they think they're probably going to raise interest rates again another quarter. But we have no idea. I wish we did.
Had a crystal ball.
I mean, you know, it's funny because I see a lot of, you know, lenders out there online saying, oh, by next year, interest rates are going to be, you know, in the low 5s. But if you went back to last year, they predicted interest rates to be in the 4s. And that's not where they are. So no one knows. We don't know where the economy is going. It's all
Right.
going to be dependent on that. So if you're going to wait, I say let's first and foremost see what that monthly payment looks like and how much you can afford.
Yeah.
And then make that decision from there. Don't just base it on what today's interest rates are, because they could go up or down. And, you know, if they do go down, we always have the opportunity to refinance.
Absolutely.
Like a majority of people did.
Yeah,
when
right.
the twos.
I know. But I think that's the best piece of advice is, again, if you're up in a position of, oh, I either have to renew my lease or I'm getting a new lease, or I could go buy, but I don't want to buy because interest rates are high. I would say just have somebody actually run the numbers for you, because if you're going to have to pay, let's say $2,800 or $3,000 to get something in a rental price, it might not be that much different in a mortgage, potentially, just depending on what you're looking for and what areas and everything else. So, you know, it would be worth having the numbers run for you so you have factual data to lean on to make your decision, versus just buying into the bandwagon that interest rates are high and so I'm going to stay away.
Yeah. I mean, and if someone decides, and I do that a lot for people who are renting and their lease is up, and if they look and say, okay, I can't really find anything for 300,000, that's all I'd qualify for, then we know the best option for them is to keep renting, but then we put them on a plan so we can save more. So eventually they'll be able to, you know, purchase a home. So
yeah,
I'm honest.
That strategy.
I understand if it's not, if, you know, you can't buy a house for 300,000 in Colorado, if that's all you qualify for, I'm honest with you and I'll tell you.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. All right. Well, I think that wraps us up for today. Do you have anything else on your end?
I don't think so.
Great. Well, thank you guys for being here with us again for Ask the
Thank you.
Expert. That's feels like a tongue twister for me today. I don't know why. Ask the experts.
And if anyone has questions, ask, please feel free to email us and we can answer them.
Absolutely. All right. Have a fantastic day.
Bye.